The chamber really is focused on empowering our community, and our focus this year, and it started last year a little bit, is really uh, we realize that if we can lift up other organizations, other people's missions, um, it will benefit our residents, it'll benefit our businesses, and it'll benefit our organization. So how can we? That's why we changed our mission statement a couple of years ago to say empower community. We're not relevant to business, we're essential to our community. We're not relevant to business, we're essential to our community, and we will do programs in that. So that's where that rising tides raise all ships ties into today.
Welcome to the Business Coffee Hour with William Gray Jr. I'm your host, and this week my special guest is Mr. Jim Johnson. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here, William.
So you are the executive director of the Pearland Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, we use the title president and CEO, but yes, sir.
President
yeah,
and CEO.
yeah. Oh, lead staff for the organization.
Here we go. Here we go. See, I spent some time in the nonprofit, so
Yeah.
I'm used to using that title.
Right.
Well, thank you for joining us. You've spent a lot of time around the chambers, huh?
Yeah.
Is it you found a real passion for that?
Yes, sir. Going on 13 years now in the industry. Spent time here in Pearland before I came back in 2021. Spent time in Lufkin, Texas, as their CEO for about 3 years, and a little 3.5 years in Georgetown, Texas, before coming back here in July of 2021 when their president retired.
So when did you first realize that you had a real passion for chamber events?
Yeah, I don't think anybody goes to school or gets in their life and wakes up and says, I want to work at a chamber of commerce. I want to work in an association of businesses. My journey started out of college. I worked in tourism in college, had a passion for tourism, talking to people about where to go eat, what attractions to go to. So out of college, that's where I thought my career path would take me. During that journey, I learned about convention and visitor bureaus, which are typically city-funded ability to attract people to our community. So Houston CVB is going to attract people and talk about all the great things Houston does. If I go back to 2011, at that time, the Pearland Chamber also managed the Pearland Convention and Visitor Bureau. So I took a job in membership at the Chamber in 2011. I was their VP of membership, really loved talking to businesses, but I still had that passion for tourism. But over about a year, I realized I enjoyed talking to businesses about where they should go to find customers, what they should do to grow their business, more than talking to visitors about where they should go for attractions. So instead of sliding into our Convention and Visitor Bureau division, I stayed on the membership track, and 13 years later, I'm still talking to business about where they can go and help them be better at what they do.
That's quite amazing. I think running through all that you've told us, what sticks out to me is just the passion for the town.
Yeah.
Right. A pulse of where everything is. So it seems like you have a really good grasp of where Pearland is headed, and where it's been.
Right, absolutely. My parents both graduated from Pearland. I grew up in the Alvin area, so did not grow up in Pearland, Texas, but my family has roots back here to the 50s. So I've watched Pearland grow from a sleepy, I hate saying sleepy, it's never been sleepy, but a farm town to, now the third largest city in the Houston area behind Houston and Pasadena. So it's growing, and it's exciting to be here.
It is. We had the mayor on not too long ago, and one of the challenges that he mentioned with Pearland is how do we keep that hometown feeling? And I'm curious to think, what do you think? How can Pearland keep that small town feel as it continues to grow?
Yeah, I think, that's a great point, because you're going to have people that are generational, that have been here forever, and they want to hold on to that. But, if you look at our population, what we've seen, people define home in a different way. They want it to be a place where they can live, work, raise their kids. And so I think as we continue to invest in great quality of life, continue to invest in great quality education, and continue to invest in great quality jobs, whether you've lived here 50 years or lived here 5 months, it's going to feel like home here. And you're going to still have that ability to connect with your neighbors, connect with your business owners, and connect with this fantastic community. But, Pearland's, as you know, is very wide. It's like a rectangle. And so, when you see that, you have people look at different sides of town. But I think when you look at Pearland, there's so much great all throughout there that we have the opportunity to come together and rally around this great town.
I tend to agree. I feel the same way. I can understand where you're talking about the different sides, because I do live in old Pearland or the east side of town, and traveling, it just seems different. But it's also exciting, right? To see the new businesses come in, to see the new attractions, and to feel a different energy about the town.
Yeah, and I think, most towns are that hub and spoke model. There's a center and it brawls out in a circular pattern. Pearland's just designed to be rectangular. So, it's you have centers of area where it's the east end with City Hall and the Tom Reed Library, or it's the on the west of 288 where you have places like the Miracle Field and the West Pearland Library. There's these different pockets of area. Just the challenge is always going to be that it's not the same geographical distance from one section to the other because it's not a hub and spoke, it's a rectangle. So that's why we have to invest in infrastructure and just continue to make it a great area. But you talked about businesses, and that's my passion. What we're seeing on the northwest quadrant and the lower Kirby, those businesses are amazing. High tech company, North America's largest biomed manufacturers here in Pearland. But on the east end, and I hate using east and west, but on this side, the older side of town, as you mentioned, you have companies like Coza's Inc. I don't know if you know that we just had the NFL champion here a couple of weeks ago when the Chiefs unfortunately won the Super Bowl. But those hats that they put on, that Patrick Mahomes put on, is manufactured here in Pearland. So there's some great, neat companies on the one side of town or throughout our whole entire community.
Right, right. Well, since we are speaking about businesses, what's a common leadership aspect? So, what have you seen that has made businesses successful? Is it the leader in charge? Is it their business plan?
That's a good, I think you see multifaceted in that. I think, having a strong plan and being able to adapt. I think during the pandemic, many businesses had to pause, reevaluate what they do, get back to their core focus of what they are. And that takes a strong leader that's willing to realize that something's been working really great for them for 30 years, but they might have to adapt on that end. I think the leadership facet to me that's most important at times is a leader that can work with different generations. Right now the workplace, you have everything from Gen Z to boomers, and a couple greatest generations still in there, and that's a challenge. And a leader, you have to be adaptive and be able to understand that generational values truly impact individuals, and if you can't adapt to that and understand that what one generation needs and the next one, it's going to be a challenge for you to be successful.
All right. I tend to agree. I think
you can disagree with me at some point during this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I disagree. I think
you cannot like the other generations. That's all horrible. No.
Yeah, I've always feel very drawn to that. It's about leading the person, right? Not a one size fits all, which I think is great. And what I've noticed too, especially for your chamber, is you have a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
You have a very wide and diverse crew that represents lots of Pearland, and then is also very passionate about advocating for businesses in Pearland.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we exist. And our organization, founded in 1963, was established to help business. And I say that'll never change. Why we were established was to help business. But how we've been helping business since in the 60s, the 80s, now it starts to change. And so we will always exist to help business. And that creates, not creates challenges, but it creates opportunities. When you have 700 business members, we have to ensure our programs meet their needs, because what one business needs is how they need help could be different than the other. And to show value, we have to ensure that we maintain that and provide a diverse program, have a diverse team that can meet those needs.
Right. And we've only been members of the chamber for a month maybe.
Yeah.
And I have noticed all of the events that you've done, but I've noticed that before as well.
Yeah.
Just being active parts of the community, trying to represent both sides of the rectangle.
Yeah.
And you guys have really done a really good job. How do you continue to do that?
Yeah, one of the simplest answer I give is we survey often, and that might sound simple, but we need feedback. And I think if you follow too many businesses, fail to realize that there's an opportunity to get constructive feedback. I mean, I just went to the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo on Saturday with 60,000 of my closest friends,
Right.
plus probably another tens of thousands that are out there at the carnival and all that. What do I get Sunday morning? A survey. How likely am I to refer the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo to? Do they really need my feedback? Probably not, but they want it. And I use that as an example that best practices in nonprofits like the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo, Southwest, Marriott, all those companies that you're familiar with, they're asking feedback often. They already know that you've bought, they know all your loyalty numbers and stuff, but they still want that feedback. And so if we're constantly getting feedback from our members, it allows us to ensure that as we set strategic direction, we're on the right path and that we're meeting their needs. And so that's why, I mean, for example, we got feedback that we were doing a morning event, started at 7:30 a.m. and it went till 9 a.m. We thought that we had done morning events before, so we wanted to introduce that. We've heard from our members that they love the event. It's our highest rated program we do. But 7:30 in the a.m. might as well be 4 a.m. for some people. One little thing changes, it gets them thrown off during the day. So this month we said, okay, we've heard that feedback. They love the event, but timing's becoming a challenge. So how can we overcome that? So in April, instead of starting at 7:30, we'll start at 8 a.m. But in this month, we're also going to change that same format and introduce it in the evening time. So if the program's right, but the timing's off, how did we get to that? It wasn't just staff going, let's move the time. It was feedback from our members and our attendees on that end. So that's how we kind of work around things. And we have a great board of directors who are tasked with governance and strategic vision. 20 individuals representing a diversity of age, race, business segment, type of company, all that. And that allows us to bring that feedback back and allow us to really serve our members.
Mm-hmm. I love what you're saying about the feedback loop. I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
What have you heard from the staff? Because I'm just curious, how big is your staff again?
We have 6 full-time staff, including myself.
What I've noticed too is that your staff is all, again, passionate. So how do you keep them engaged with the with the membership that's clearly large?
Yeah, no, we take advantage of regular communication. I will over communicate and be transparent with my team. They're in the loop on everything from our financials to our net promoter score to our successes and challenges, and that allows us to do that. I don't believe in silos, even though I have every staff member has their direct responsibility. We are very cross-siloed in what we do and cross-trained. So if one staff member can't be there for, let's use at a committee meeting, well, we have 2 staff members that can back up and maintain that and understand it at a level. A member calls and has a question specific to our upcoming golf tournament. We have multiple staff members that can have. We also do mini trainings on that so that everybody's got the same information. And that ultimately all the, as a CEO, I get a lot of times I get final say, but we have to work together because if not, we're not going to be able to meet those needs of those members.
Mm-hmm. What's a time that you've maybe felt a little bit of challenge from someone not aligned with where you guys are headed, and how do you correct that?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think of a specific one, but sometimes people want us to be one thing to one to them. A member might want us to go back and do mass productions of a print directory. Let's use that, which we've previously done. We don't do that as at the level we have. We haven't done that in probably a decade on that end. But to them, that's high value. They feel like their name in a print publication should be mailed to every member in the area. And so you have to understand where they're coming from. They have an expectation. And what we do as a team is during our sales process, even myself, I meet with as many new members as I can. And we have an honest conversation about what are your expectations of us? And if your expectations of us are visibility, but visibility through print media, I'll be honest with them and say that that's just not where we're at right now. We understand why that's important to you. But we have to explain what we are. But if we don't manage expectations at the beginning, then there's going to be this division at the end, and they're never going to see the value because their expectations were unrealistic. I remember one time trying to join during the holiday season. They sold furniture, previous company here in Pearland a decade ago, and they wanted to. They came in and said, "This check." I still remember the story. They said, "This check is going to put us in the red, but we know we're going to get business from it right away." And I said, "You hold that check." I said, because it is just like December 8th, and there's us getting a ribbon cutting and everything that you're looking for is not going to happen between now and the holidays. And if that's why you're joining, that you think in the next between now and December 25th that we're going to turn that check into 3-4-fold, like put it on a blackjack table and black hitting, blackjack would be black 21 hitting, but it's that expectation. We really had. I said, no, you need to hold on to that. So get through the holidays and come back and see us, because if that's your expectation, we can't meet that. Right. There's stories of success where we have had members join and the next day a customer bought something from them, but it's not the every day, and that's not what we exist for. We exist to help. We don't exist to always just see an ROI within 2 weeks. Yeah, I can't promise that.
There's not like an instant gratification where it's like, hey, as soon as you join the chamber, everyone's going to come running to you, and businesses don't work that way.
No, nobody. I mean, you don't open your doors and there's a line of people, that do podcasts, really, it just doesn't have it. Hopefully it does, but it's just not the case.
Exactly. So I'm very passionate too. I've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
How has being a member of the chamber uh, helped with your parenting as well?
Oh, a balance. I mean, I'd say that more than anything. I think work is very important. But as a parent and for business owners, is that if it's taught me to make sure you have the balance and make sure you're there for your children. Make sure that you don't miss those moments. And that's a marketing message that we've been playing around with right now because of uh, there is an opportunity for more people to live and work locally. And if you
Mm,
work locally, your commute is less. If your commute's less, you're at home more. If you're that doesn't mean you're working less. It just means that when you leave, you're getting home at a more reasonable time. And if that's the case, you don't miss those moments with your children, and that's important. And that's what they you can work hard, but you need to family's going to come first, And I think if anything, that's where I've gotten is that make sure I'm there with my son and my wife, and get to spend those moments with them.
hmm you did mention, working here in our town. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what work in Pearland
Yeah, so that was a good segue. I didn't even plan that.
is?
Work in Pearland launches on March 15th. It is a brand new initiative, a comprehensive job board and employment resource between the Chamber and the Economic Development Corporation to showcase careers, jobs, and opportunities in Pearland. And why is that important? Data shows there was some research done in 2021 on the employee rates and the movement of people in Pearland. Roughly, I mean, I'll say approximately 30,000 people leave Pearland every day for work. Approximately 20,000 people come into Pearland every day for work. And a little less than 5,000 live and work in Pearland. And so we paused on those numbers and say we have great companies here, large and small, that are unemployment's 3.1%, that are looking for employers. But get on 288, 35, all those roads. Watch all those people that are leaving our community to go work somewhere else. And they probably don't know about the careers that we have here in Pearland. So that's the focus of work in Pearland. And I mentioned just now, we were talking about moments, but think of it like this. If the average commute, if you were to commute outside of Pearland and your commute's 45 minutes, and we can reduce that to 15 minutes, that's 30 minutes one way, twice a day, times 5 weeks. Let's say it's about 48 weeks. That's going to be 240 hours that you're sitting there extra in a vehicle. 240 hours divided by 24. I can't do my math. That's 10 full days that you can get back by living and working in Pearland.
Mhm.
The flip side, 240 hours divided by 8, because that's the average work day, is 30 work days a year. So by not commuting, by working locally, by finding a job here, that's just one ticket that you get back. You can get back 30 more vacation days if you look at it like that. 10 full days back. That's not counting the wear and tear on cars, the tolls, gas prices, but also regardless of the moments, regardless of the actual time and value we can put on it, there are great companies here in Pearland that are hiring that would love for local people. The closer you are to work, your retention rate goes up.
Mhm.
So if we can showcase those careers and showcase those opportunities here in Pearland, because like I said earlier, I don't think people realize the great companies that are in here that are independently small ones or huge companies, and everything from engineering and to filling barrels to accountants and professional jobs. We want to showcase those. And that's workinpearland.com. You have to register, but it's all free. Businesses, as if they're listening to this podcast, can actually sign up for booths for free as long as they're located in Pearland or members of the Pearland Chamber. They get a free booth, free opportunity to showcase careers and jobs to a wide range of individuals. It's Pearland's comprehensive job board.
Very cool. I think that's amazing. I mean, that's why my partner and I chose Pearland too, right? I live here. He's from here, and we enjoy the city. So that's another reason of this podcast is to make sure folks know how great this city can be and all the fantastic leadership,
Yeah.
um, businesses. Like we're all just trying to stay and build a happy home.
Yeah.
So it starts with work, it's finances, it's mind, it's body. It's us all encompassing. So we have hit on work, we have hit on family. What is something that you do for yourself that nobody really understands?
I like I'm a hiker, walker.
Mm,
That's my wife and I's thing. We probably do a couple miles every day in the evening. It's our time to communicate about our challenges and successes of the day. There's all the research out there that fresh air away from technology is important for you. So we try to make that a habit, whether locally here or hitting one of our beautiful state parks and across the state. that is our time, when including our son in that as well. And then
Oh, yeah.
he plays baseball. So baseball is our other little side fun that we do as a family, and we're all three involved in it and enjoy it. And it's fun to watch him do something that he is excited about as well. And then we just got a puppy, so that's always fun too. So two dogs, so that keeps us going too. So wide range of stuff like that. But that's our family is important, most important thing to me. Everything else is a great part of what I get to do. But my wife and son, they're my motivation. They keep me going.
Right. I think it's clear and evident that those are important values to you. I can see them come through pretty clearly. Uh, by happenstance, that's one of my two values.
Yeah.
My number one is family. The other number two is resilience. But it's also being able to treat others like family.
Hmm.
And so I kind of get that vibe from you as well. Like, hey, you know what? This is very dear to me. I want to make sure others feel as welcome, which makes sense that you run this chamber so well. Um, let me transition back
Sure.
to the leadership aspect.
Hmm.
I'm an avid reader of books. So do you have any recommendations that you like? This is the book that I turn to the most.
Oh man, quite a few. Comfort Crisis is probably one of my favorite right now by Michael Easter. Great book. It focuses on leadership at times, but it focuses as a society we are way too comfortable, and it's created where we are not challenged in the right way, and that we need to get out of our comfort zone to be a little bit more productive in life.
Hmm.
I'm also a big fan of the Slight Edge.
Hmm.
Compounding results lead to big areas. I always say you don't get overweight by eating McDonald's once, but if you eat it every single day, it's those little slight edges that can make a big difference on that end. 5 a.m. Club, enjoy that book. One Minute Manager is my go-to management style book.
Okay, I have
Uh,
that.
uh, you know, um, uh, John Gordon's The Energy Bus is a great, and The Coffee Bean. Those are two great easy reads on that end.
One thing that I always remember is it's like not every reader is a leader,
Yeah,
but every leaders are readers.
yeah,
Uh, and I think you hit on it a lot. For me, when I talk about comfort, I always say comfort is a thief.
yeah,
I can't remember exactly where I got that from, but it's like the more comfortable I am, the less I actually grow.
yeah.
And so if I can create that discomfort, so I got to ask, what discomfort have you taken on lately?
Man, waking up early. That's probably one of my, and I'm not good at it. My wife probably will listen to this because you're not waking up all the time early, but I'm trying. It's kind of that whole model of I can waking up at 5 a.m. Embracing discomfort by waking up at 5 a.m. So I have the slight edge. Kind of takes those three models of those books and put them into context and kind of say that's kind of one of my personal models right now. It won't, and I actually throw it to another level. It won't hurt me to wake up at 5 a.m. So it won't hurt me to embrace discomfort by waking up at 5 a.m. So I have the slight edge. So if I take those four of those books and put them together, you read all these and it kind of, uh, what do you do with it afterwards? And,
Right.
and so try to
Uh,
take those little tidbits on that end. So
yeah, it's definitely key to not only consume it, but it's also how do I put this into
yeah,
practice? And so for me, a lot of the stuff that I read, it's just that now that I have the knowledge, how do I find someone to
yeah,
hold me accountable, and how am I actually talking about it? And a lot of it comes out in the morning videos I make, and a lot of it comes out in the
yeah,
conversations I have, and I notice that it starts to kind of creep through. Um, so we're going to be mindful of your time. I want to thank you and acknowledge you for all that you've done.
sure.
I think I know I wanted to have you on as one of our first guests because I am proud of this city and I love all that the chamber is doing. So thank you for your time. What is one way that our audience can kind of follow along with you and get involved with the chamber?
Sure. I mean, I think the easiest way is to start at our website at pearlandchamber.org, learn information, follow us on social media. Follow me at It's Jim Johnson on Twitter and Instagram, I think is what you'll get me, and probably LinkedIn as well. Really our focus right now is for those businesses that might not be in the position to make the step to join, be on the lookout for a couple of our main communications. Pearland Data is our data report. It's a data dump of everything from sales tax reports to unemployment. So you have the data to continue to move your business forward. We'll be launching the Advantage today, which is giving you its articles, events, and just news of interest for you so that you can really know what's going on, whether it's our event or somebody else's. How can we continue to provide those resources out there? Because if we're rising outside, rising
Right.
tides raise all ships.
That's right.
If we elevate other groups, it'll elevate us as well. So look out for those two datas and just stay abreast of what's going on with
Right.
us.
Is that your favorite quote to
What? Rising
Rising
tides
Tide?
is, I think that's my quote of the year right now. Because
Yeah.
really, I know we're wrapping up, but the chamber really is focused on empowering our community. And our focus this year, and it started last year a little bit, is really we realize that if we can lift up other organizations, other people's missions, um, it will benefit our residents, it'll benefit our businesses, and it'll benefit
Mm.
our organization. So how can we? That's why we changed our mission statement a couple of years ago to say empower community. We're not relevant to business, we're essential to our community. We're not relevant to business, we're essential to our community, and we will do programs in that. So that's where that rising tides raise all ships ties into today.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Relevant, not relevant to the business, but
Essential to community.
essential
You
to
don't want to be
community.
nobody wants to be just relevant in what they do. You don't want to be relevant in the podcast market. You want to be essential in the podcast market. So if anything, the pandemic and stuff taught our organization, we're not just relevant to business. Without us, the community, we know we're essential to them, and we're making sure that message gets out.
Right. That plays along well with all that we do and who we are. Uh, all of our businesses are under Charlie Mike, which
Yeah.
means continue mission, and it's about finding that new mission for us. It's clear that you've got a real great guiding light, grading mission in life. Again, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you
pleasure.
coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Other than that, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I look forward to talking to you guys next time. I love you guys.